Every so often, an idea comes along that just changes everything. Well, we're about to dive into what might be the single most powerful and influential letter ever written, the Apostle Paul's letter to the Romans. And trust me, this is way more than just an old piece of mail. It's a world-changing argument that all boils down to one incredible idea.
And there it is. Paul doesn't waste any time. Right up front, he lays all his cards on the table. He says the good news, the gospel, isn't just a nice philosophy or some self-help advice. Nope. He says it is the actual power of God. And through it, God reveals a kind of right standing, a righteousness that you can't earn. You can only receive it through faith. That single idea, it's the key that unlocks this entire book.
But before Paul can really unpack that amazing solution, he has to make sure we all understand the problem. And not just any problem, a massive, universal problem that, according to him, every single one of us shares.
Now this part is brilliant. Paul basically puts everyone on trial. He starts with one group, the irreligious, saying, look, you can see God's reality all around you in creation, but you ignore it. But then, just when the religious folks might be nodding along, he spins right around and points at them. He says, and you have God's rules, but you don't follow them from the heart. You judge other people for doing the exact same things you do. Ouch. His point is that nobody gets a pass. And this is his grand conclusion, the great equalizer. After building his case, Paul drops this bombshell. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, how good you think you are, we're all in the same boat. Everyone has missed the mark. The playing field is totally level, and, well, we're gonna need some help.
So after painting that pretty bleak picture, the entire mood of the letter just flips. Paul pivots from this universal problem to what he calls God's completely surprising, totally unexpected solution. And here it is, the big plot twist. Those two little words, but now. Everything changes. Paul says a whole new reality has broken in. A right standing with God has been revealed that has absolutely nothing to do with following the rules or trying harder. This is a totally different system, a plan B that God put into motion himself. To explain this, Paul uses this really important word, justification. Think of it like a legal term, like in a courtroom. It doesn't mean you're suddenly perfect. It means the judge looks at you and declares you righteous, not guilty. It's a new status. And the craziest part, it's given to you as a completely free gift, not a paycheck you earned. So you might be wondering, how do you get this gift? Paul's answer is simple, through faith. And just to prove this isn't some brand new idea he cooked up, he points way back to Abraham, the father of the whole Jewish nation. What did Abraham do to get right with God? Nothing. He simply believed God's promise, and that faith was credited to him as righteousness. See? Paul's saying this has been God's plan all along. Okay, so if someone is justified, declared righteous by faith, what now? What actually changes? Well, Paul shows us that this is way more than just a legal change of status. It's the beginning of a totally radically new kind of life. The results are just huge. First off, that conflict between us and God, it's over. There's peace. Second, you get a completely new identity. You're not just a pardoned criminal. You're adopted into God's family as one of his own kids. And third, you get a new power source, the Holy Spirit, who actually comes to live inside you and help you. Then Paul makes this epic comparison. He says, think about it. One man, Adam, through his one act of disobedience, plunged the entire human race into sin and death. But he says, the one act of obedience by one man, Jesus, is infinitely more powerful in reverse. It's like a cosmic reset button that offers life and justification to everyone. Grace, he argues, is way more powerful than sin ever was. But Paul is also brutally honest. He knows this new life isn't a walk in the park. He describes this intense internal war, wanting to do good, but finding himself doing the opposite. It's so raw and relatable. He literally cries out, "Who is going to rescue me from this mess?" And right after that cry of despair, he roars back with the answer. This is the triumphant peak of the letter. He says, because of everything we've just talked about, there is now no condemnation. Even with the struggle, even with the failures, the verdict stands not guilty. Your standing with God is totally secure. Okay, so if you're justified, if you're secure, if you're free from condemnation,
How in the world are you supposed to live? This is where Paul gets super practical, explaining what this new reality looks like, Monday through Friday. And here's the key. This new life is not something you do in order to get saved. It's a grateful, joyful response because you already are saved. Paul says, when you really think about all the mercy God has shown you, the only logical thing to do is to offer your whole life back to Him as an act of worship. So what does that worship look like? Well, it looks like love in action. Paul lays it out, genuine love, hating what's wrong, holding on to what's good, being joyful, being patient, welcoming people into your home, sharing what you have with those in need. It's all about actively loving other people. That, he says, is what it's all about. Paul then brings his entire argument to this absolutely breathtaking climax. After all the logic and theology, he ends with this unbreakable promise. He basically says, try to think of anything at all, in this life or the next, and I'm telling you, it has zero power to separate you from the love God has for you in Jesus. It's maybe the most powerful promise ever written down. So there you have it, from a problem that includes everyone, to a solution offered to everyone, to a transformation that changes absolutely everything. The message of Romans really is an idea that changed the world. And that leaves us with just one final thought to chew on. If this really is the power of God to transform, how might it transform you?